cheapies, baby.
Bonjour à tous, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Millie, and I'm back with another video. Aujourd'hui, je vais vous parler de tout about some of the most shocking things that I found out, or things that I found shocking when I came to Canada. Y'all hear the French? The French is appearing in the videos now because I'm in a French city. So for those who don't know me, my name is Millicent and I recently moved to Montreal in Canada from South Africa, but I'm actually Zimbabwean. So I've literally been an immigrant for the longest time. So I wrote a list of some of the things that, I didn't expect when I came here. Obviously, sometimes you see it in other videos, people talk about it, but once you now start experiencing these things, it's so different. One of the first things that I noticed coming into Canada is how the phone system works. So, back home and even in South Africa, like when you have a SIM card, right? You buy a SIM card and you can go for months. Like if you have home Wi-Fi and you don't leave the house, you can go for months without having to buy airtime or recharge your phone or, put any money towards or into your SIM card. But here it's like it works backwards. Like for you to be connected, just to have a number, you have to be paying, a subscription. Basically, I call it a subscription, but obviously it's payment for you to be on the network. But you can get a SIM card with a phone and whatever. You don't have to get like a SIM card with a phone, like a contract, but you basically still have to get a contract for that SIM card to work. So even if you don't make any calls, even if you don't send any SMSs, and you're literally at home the whole day using your home Wi-Fi, they don't care. You are still gonna pay that money. Currently for my phone, I pay $45 a month for one phone. So that's $90 a month for two phones. And when my son grows up and he needs a phone, we have to add him to the package and he gets his own package. So that'll be an extra $45. That's if it's the same price at that time. So I just found that so shocking. Like, why do I have to pay just for me to not actually send any SMSs or make any calls? But whatever. But the good thing about that is that when you need to make calls, you can just make the call because it's there. And some packages come with like unlimited US and Canada. So you can be texting and calling people in the US as well at no extra charge. But yeah, $45 a month is a lot of money because even if I was calling, I don't think I would call that much. The second thing I found so weird when I came here is that they use both the empirical and the metric system in everything. So like everything is different. When you're looking at speed on like the road signs, they're all in kilometers per hour. So it's like 30 kilometers per hour, which is cool because that's what I'm used to. I don't know miles for anything. But then when you use certain apps in the country, it's like Uber, for example, to be like your driver is 2 miles away, or this is 2 miles away. Or if you just use like a Google Maps or whatever, sometimes it will be telling you things, but I guess you can program it to do what you want it to do. But yeah, they still use that. And in basic language, when you're talking to someone and you're like, oh, how far is this? They'll be like, oh, it's 5 miles away. But then what's 5 miles away? Oh, let's do a 10-mile run. 10 miles, what's that? Because I don't know. But road signs, they're all in kilometers per hour. Temperature, weather uses Celsius. Yay me, because that is what I'm used to. But when you're cooking your stoves and whatnots, your ovens, they set up in Fahrenheit. I don't know what the hell it means. The only thing I know is that 350 to 400 Fahrenheit is good to cook at and it won't burn your food. That's all I know. I bake, cook, roast, grill at that temperature. I don't change it. My oven was set at that when I came here and I just left it at that. I didn't play around with anything because I don't know anything. Unlike, at home when you're like, oh, 180 degrees, this. I don't know what it means. So, I just don't. In shops, stuff is packed in liters and grams, but then you find that sometimes they do put things in ounces, like if you have recipes and whatnot. And sometimes even the packages in the shop, it'll be like, oh, ounces and pounds. And I'm like, I don't know the difference. And even like if you walk into a clinic or like the gym, you can find a gym that's in kilograms. You can find a gym that's in pounds. So it's like, a lottery. You don't know what you're gonna get that day. You're either gonna get empirical, or you're gonna get metric, or you're gonna get both. They have no middle ground. Everything is just all over the place. I don't know why it's that way. Maybe it's because there's so many immigrants in this country, so a lot of people also want to use the metrics system, but I don't know. And they're also so close to the US that uses empirical, so it's like, what do you do? I guess you use both. Number 3 is something that I already knew. They drive on the wrong side of the road. And obviously you know that because they do that in America as well. But it's so different when you are finally driving on the wrong side of the road. Like in a car, the first few days, it was so anxiety inducing because I just felt like we are going to be in a head-on collision with someone who is trying to drive correctly. And now it's fine. Now my anxiety is gone. I look left before I look right. You know, things like that. When you're crossing a street, before I used to look the other way, and then next thing, beep, 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 beep. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were coming from that direction. It was so bad. But now you get accustomed to it, I guess. But I don't know. I did learn how to drive the proper way. So I'm currently in the process of getting my license this side, which I will also be documenting. So you can look for those videos once they come up. But yeah, that was a lot for me. But you know, it is what it is. 4th thing is that services here are so archaic and they take so long. Like for example, the banking system. When you're coming from South Africa, oh my gosh, South Africa's banking is top notch, even though it's very hackable, but it's top notch. Like you have so many things that you can access from your phone. You can send cash to a number, you can do this and that. Here, not so much. You know, I was so used to like withdrawing and depositing at a POS. Like you walk into a Checkers, you walk into whatever little shop you want to buy food, and you'll be like, oh, I need an extra 200 Rand cash. You can't just do that here, apparently. You can't cash out at a POS, a point of sale, and you can't deposit money into your card either. So you have to use like the bank's ATMs, and like when you use other banks, the charges are so high, exorbitantly, it doesn't even make sense. And like things like when it's a weekend and it's a holiday, the banks is like not even doing anything. Your app won't update balances. You won't even see if money comes out from your account like during the weekend. You won't be able to see it until like Monday, because that's when they then update balances and whatnot. It's like they just don't work during holidays. So like if you're expecting a transfer, it's not going to clear on a holiday, and it's not going to clear on a weekend. And in SA it does. Like it's like banking works 24/7. I don't know about Zim. I've never had a bank account in Zim, unfortunately. I've had a card from Zim, but not a bank account. But it's so behind. And like also just registering for stuff, it takes weeks. They use the post. Like I had never posted a letter like outside of DHL, obviously, like to put a stamp and go put it in the letter box, and then the mailman comes. And no, I have never done that. But here, common practice. Like all the government services, you need to send them something, you're sending it with a stamped document, a stamped envelope. So that's like so behind for me, because in Africa we don't even do that. But here it's like it's a thing. It's a thing. Like you will wait 4 weeks to get a code in the mail for you to be able to access a system. I'm like, why don't you just send it via overnight? They don't do that. But yeah, and even the delivery system, it's so behind, because like in SA we have Take a Lot, right? And with Take a Lot, when you want to return something, you just like you schedule a delivery and a return in the app. Then Take a Lot sends its drivers and they come and collect it just like they came and dropped it. Here you have to repack everything, make it look like you never opened it, go print out a shipping label, and then you do the whole process of getting a shipping company to come and pick up that thing. And sometimes it's at your own cost, you know? I mean, if Amazon sends you something you don't like, why must I pay to send it back? It's not what I wanted. You know, sometimes the products are different, but it is so archaic. Like that's one thing I've noticed. I'm getting used to it now, but I don't like it. I need convenience, and I was used to convenience. Point number 5 is postal codes. So, I mean, if you stay in Zimbabwe, do we even have postal codes? I don't think so. It's such a tongue twister. Postal codes. Chirong. We don't have those. I mean, I don't think we do. Like, do we have like, we don't have them. And even in SA, they are postal codes, but we don't use them like that. Google can like generate one for you, but your life is not dependent on your postal code. Like if you give an address without a postal code, they just like, sorry, I need the postal code. And when you're using your card online, you have to put the postal code of the address that you have on with your bank. Otherwise, your transaction just cannot go through sometimes. Sometimes it might, but sometimes it's just like being incorrect postal code. So like, it's crazy how the postal codes run where you stay, because even on some government systems, all you have to enter is your building number and your postcode. And then they already know your address. Like you don't even have to put anything else. And then you'll see your whole address populate. And you're like, it's pretty cool, because then you don't have to always type out your full, no, number 6, or sort of close, you don't have to do that. You just say number 6, postcode H1L 225Z. And it's like, oh, you stay at number 6, and then maybe you put your apartment number. But those things run everything. So at any given point in time, you have to know your postcode. And you don't have much of a choice anyway, because everywhere you go and you need to put an address, it needs to be there. And if it's incorrect, it's a whole different city or it's a different country altogether. So you have to always put those things. And growing up, I never knew those things existed. Every time I was asked for a postcode for Zimbabwe, I just put +263, of which I think that's not even a postcode. That's our country code on phones. But I don't think we have that system in Zimbabwe. It's just vibes. You know what I mean? It's just vibes. Number 6 on my list is the temperatures. Moving to Canada, I was fully aware that it gets cold. I mean, they don't call it the Kuchando for nothing. And I knew I was coming to the Chandos for the Chando. But one thing I did not know is that when summer comes, it will try and cook you. They are trying to cook us. Like temperatures can go up to 36 degrees. So far, that's been the hottest in Montreal, where I'm based. And what makes it way worse is that these houses, they're built to keep the heat inside, because it gets so cold in the winter. And even if you don't have power in the winter, if power goes, because we had a situation like that back in February because of a tree falling on some cables. If the power goes, you don't lose the heat from your house instantaneously. It's like the house keeps the heat inside. So it took hours before I started feeling, okay, the temperatures are dropping. But now imagine that in the heat. So outside is 36 degrees. It heats up the house. The house starts climbing itself, 37, 38. You're like, why are you going there? I'm not used to it. I literally live with a fan. I have a fan on my bedside when I'm sleeping, a fan by my desk when I'm working. Aircon is on, aircon is running, windows are closed. Imagine the bill. It's crazy. It gets so hot. And I never expected that. I thought summer would be vibes. When I moved here, people were asking me, can you even wear shorts in Canada? Guys, you want to walk around naked in Canada because it is so hot. I can't even believe it. I don't even think in Africa I've ever been this hot, because our houses, they're nice. They're tiled. Bricks are not they're not trying to get hot. I can't deal with the heat here. I can't deal with the heat here. Nah. I did not sign up for that, and I did not expect that. But yeah, that's what summer is like over here. It is extremely hot. And then in winter, it is extremely cold. It's like the polar opposite, and that's a lot. That is a lot. Number 7 on my OSNAP list is basically public services. So here, public services seem to really operate much differently than they do back home. For example, the public transport system, the healthcare system. You call an ambulance, it will arrive not immediately, but it will arrive within the time frame of the accident or the emergency. The ambulance is not going to arrive once people have already cleaned up or everything is over. The police are going to arrive when they're called. The fire department arrives when it's cold. And there's a lot of fires here. And you see that they're very serious about their jobs. Even if you're not in harm's way, you are removed from there because you could be. For example, if there's a fire in 3 buildings away from me, but there's a gas tank, they will probably evacuate the whole block, and you guys will stand outside until the situation is ago. And that's, I'm not used to that, I never used to see that. And it's crazy because I probably never seen a fire truck in South Africa. And I've seen one in Zim because we actually went to the fire department back in primary school, but that was the only time. In South Africa, I even stayed next to the fire station, and not once did I ever see a fire truck. The doors were always closed. There was no drills running outside. Never seen one. So yeah, I've seen it. Every week you'll see it. Every week you'll see an ambulance. These things are there. You can see them working. Public transport, even better. Like the public transport system here is like equivalent to what, like Gautrain. The only difference is that obviously because it snows, the floors of the buses are not as luxurious as they are in like the Gautrain, because sometimes you enter the buses with snow and whatnot. But generally everything is clean, everything is nice. The trains, Gautrain levels, and it's government services, like you can just access them. Everyone can access them, and it's not too expensive, and it goes everywhere. I think even if I'm going to off the island, going to another place, you will probably get a bus. You won't ever have to walk more than 1 kilometer without seeing a bus. And I have never had to do that. Maybe there are areas, obviously, because there are remote areas in Canada, but my husband is sending me a message. There are remote places in Canada, but the truth is that when you're in the city, you don't have to have a car to be able to be mobile. It'll be nice to have a car. I want a car because obviously with any government service, there's delays, you have to wait for the train. Sometimes it's raining. Now you must wait at a bus stop. There's inconveniences that comes with not having your own car, but the transport system is there. You won't be like man down, oh, I can't come, or have to rely on an Uber if you can't get to a certain place. The bus and the train will always get you very close. Number 8, that was also weird for us, is that here they pay bi-weekly. So I don't have a job, so I'm my own boss. So I get a salary randomly. I'm still trying to figure that out. But anyway, my company's money is my own money currently, so that's different. But my husband is employed, and they pay out salaries every 2 weeks. So unlike having like in South Africa, even Zimbabwe, where you go through the whole month, and then on the last day of the month, or the second last day, usually the 28th, then you get your money, then you pay off the bills for the next coming weeks. No, here they split your salary up into 2 payments. So every 2 weeks you receive some money. So if you were broke by month end, mid-month, booster, you'll be back. And I think that's good because, guys, going through the whole month without another payment, I don't know how people do that. I could never do that. When I had to do it, it was such a struggle. So don't like it. So this bi-weekly thing is pretty amazing. It's pretty cool, actually. So you receive your salary every 2 weeks, which that's a good one. Number 9 on my list is government support. So coming from Zimbabwe and having lived in South Africa, I know that government support is such a, touchy topic, because the government always be doing something wild. But here, there is so much government support. Obviously, it's not like the most amazing thing, because this country is not like the land of milk and honey. Some things work and some things are just like, oh no. But what I've noticed about government services is that, yes, things take long. Yes, this is like, it won't be enough to cover you or maintain a certain lifestyle. But once you're in the system, it kind of works for you. Like, one of the biggest things for me, for example, I'm self-employed, and obviously I have to pay my taxes just like everyone else. But my biggest worry was, what's going to happen if I fall pregnant and I have to go on maternity leave? That's a big one, because that means I have to work and like push myself and make sure I've accumulated funds before even thinking of having another child. But that's not the case. Here, they've got like relief programs for self-employed people and all the likes, even employed people. There's like relief programs. And for me, I can go on maternity leave and then the government will foot my bill type of vibes. So you just have to make sure you've applied for the certain things that you need. You fill in the forms, you submit, and it's very helpful. Taxes, they're very serious about that. And if they owe you money, you will get your money. It's not like the government is just going to be mising you and telling you that they don't have your account number or whatnot. The government services, they really work here. They do what at least they try and say they do. Most part. I haven't come across anyone complaining about those yet, like, tax rebates and, whatever. The bigger complaints I hear is that it's not enough. Like, for example, if they give you $500 for groceries, even if they give you $500 for groceries a month, that's not a lot of money because stuff is expensive. But at least you're getting that $500. But yeah, it will get you. Like, if you really just buy the basics in a month, $500, it's okay. It's not wow, but it's okay. Of course, you might have to stay away from like the fruit juice and the luxury items, but you could get by. But for me, coming from a situation where I did not even receive any government services before in my life, it's crazy that I can, and I'm not even a citizen of the country. So it's like, you sure? You sure? Like, I mean, there's programs for everything. I know here we've got a Zimbabwe Montreal Association, and they assist people all the time, food packages and whatnot. So you're not always on your own. There's always somewhere that you can go where you can get some kind of help in most cases. But it's very different from being in Africa. There is actual assistance. And for me, it's been a bit weird because I'm not used to it. You either on your own or, that's how it's always been for me, especially coming from Zimbabwe, being an immigrant in South Africa, being Zimbabwean, if that matter. And all that, you've always just had to be your own person in everything that you did. Yes, you pay taxes, but you're not getting anything back. You're just paying those taxes because you're in that country. You'll get the use of the roads and whatnot. But anything else extra is on you. The 10th thing is construction. If there's one thing they will do in this country, it is build. It is construct. And I say this because our road right in front of our house has been under construction since the snow melted. The snow melted in, I think, March, April. We are in July and they are still digging. They will dig to the bottom and fix the pipes underground. They're always building something. Like every other corner, there's a new condo coming up. There's a new building. There's a new road. There's a new this. There's a new this. It's good. It keeps, the city fresh. And I guess the only time they can actually construct is during the summer, because during winter you don't see it. It's done. And like people always joke and they're like, there's 2 seasons in Canada, winter and construction, because literally every other day there's a detour because they're fixing something or they're building something or something is just going on. But I used to hear about it before coming here, but when I got here, I'm just like, wow, we literally just, it's a lot. Like, I've never seen a road being fixed in my life until I came here. They'll replace the whole thing, the road, the whole thing. They take it off, replace all the tunnels, the underground. I'm just like, okay. I guess it's for the safety because also it snows and snow does a whole number on roads. But it's a lot for me. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that. Number 11 on my list is that things are so centralized. Like, oh my goodness, it is crazy how things are so centralized. Like, for example, what example can I use? You could be at the doctor's office. They can access all your information there, like by simply typing in your SIN number, your social insurance. They know, they've just got access to everything. People run your credit. Everything is just so linked. Like, it is so linked. You can't mess up this side and think this side is not going to find out. They're going to find out. And everything is kind of linked to your name and your birthday. It's just so weird. Like, it's just so weird. Like in SA, you could just get away with some things. Like, you open an account here, you don't tell Tom. But here, not so much. So example, how when you sign into like different apps and you use Facebook, like you're like, oh, I'm signing into my Canva, and you say sign in with Facebook. So here, like, you can sign in with different accounts that you have to use basically the government systems. For example, I want to access some information about my business or information about myself and my social insurance and whatnot. I can log in with my bank account and it will take me to the page that I want to see. So it's like things like that. It's just like so linked and so my son is watching cartoons. It is so interlinked and everything's like this. So everything is so linked, and it's weird for me because it was never that efficient back when, even in South Africa, it wasn't that efficient. Like, you could be using a different passport number and no one would even know, and you know, like it was just never that efficient. So yeah, it's very linked, and so any of your information can be accessed by any government provider. Like, you can change your address for your taxes at the hospital website type of situation. So it's kind of like that. The next thing on my list is that you can get credit without a credit record. Like, you don't have to like open like clothing accounts and things like that before you can actually access credit or be able to do that. So banks, they'll give you credit. It's not like a wow amount, but you have access to it, and you can always then increase your credit score by yourself and just be diligent in that. That's your own baby, but at least you actually get the opportunity to get a credit card. For example, in South Africa, you have to first prove that you can pay back with smaller little things, and then they'll be like, okay, credit card, and then okay, home loan, and then what. But here you can literally start with a credit card, and then obviously like your phone contract, then what. So at least you have a place, like a starting point, basically. The last thing on my list is basically one thing that everybody knows. The cost of living here is different. It hits different. It is different. And it just, yeah. Things that you probably take for granted, like childcare, doing your hair, doing your nails here, is an actual commitment. And I don't think it's a negative thing. It's just that in Africa, certain occupations aren't as valued as they should be, and it's a fact. I mean, when someone is taking care of your child, I mean, people be paying like 1,000, 1.5, and you know, things like that. It's not a lot of money for a person you're trusting the child, your child's life with. And you know, here obviously there's some training you have to do before you can even take care of kids. You have to know first aid, things like that. So it comes at a cost. And yeah, so yeah, and things like doing your hair, those things are expensive, as you can see. Back to natural settings. What is it? Back to factory settings. That's the word. I haven't gotten my nails done. I did press-ons the other day, and I found some press-ons for your feet as well. And one of these days when I commit, I'll braid myself, but I'm not there yet. I'll buy wigs and stuff. I do buy wigs. I've bought a couple of wigs since I got here. Those are okay. Same prices, not too crazy. But I'm still coming to terms with braids not being anywhere less than 150. Starter braids, crochet braids are like 150. I'm like, but you're crocheting though. That's like the easiest thing. Anyway, that is my list. I know if I think of other things, I'll just put them in other videos that come. But like, those are the things that I kind of found shocking when I came here. Just like, oh my gosh, it's like this. And I'm just like, huh, this is what happens. This is what happens in the West. I don't have an accent either. Nice times. But yeah, thank you for watching my video. It's been a pleasure having you here. And as always, I love you for watching, and see you next time.